Welcome to the We Are Women Empowered podcast, where our goal is to empower you to create your best life now. Here's your host, Nikki Ubaldini.
Hi, everybody. It's Nikki Ubaldini, and we are Women Empowered. And I am here today again with our lovely guest, Tina Kearney. And Tina has some awesome information she wants to talk to us about. The title of our podcast today is Releasing the Old and Manifesting the New. That's a pretty powerful statement, Tina. Welcome. I'm glad you're here today.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm grateful to be here as well, Nikki.
Oh, great. So tell me, what does releasing the old, manifesting the new mean?
So to me, it's the perfect time of the year, and energetically, it is also the perfect time of the year with the astrology energy, if you will, to sit and reflect where we were a year ago, what served us well, and what were some of the things that we went through difficult times to where we can learn those lessons. Okay. So looking back in the moments to draw inspiration from where we've come, and looking at those difficult moments to gain wisdom from those valuable lessons.
Well, you have three questions that you ask yourself when you hit those, it's great to have those awesome things that have elevated us. And we thought, wow, that was a great experience. But life is not an upward trajectory all the time. Sometimes we have dips. So we call them highs and lows. That's what I call them. And sometimes those of us that have really high highs can have really low lows.
Correct.
You have three questions that you ask yourself when you're reflecting back on those low points in your life. Let's call it a low point. What do you ask yourself? Well, what can people ask themselves to help themselves get through this?
Typically, one of the first things I ask myself is, what did I learn from that particular moment, or whether it is a relationship, is it an experience, what have you? And then another question I ask myself is, how did that make me feel? Feelings and thoughts are very much aligned, right?
How did it make you feel at the time it happened? Is
correct?
That
yes.
Going back and maybe even re-feeling that feeling?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the next question is, how do I make the change, or where do I want to go, and how do I want to feel, with learning from that experience and shifting it. It's a mindset. It's shifting it. If you don't want to experience that again, or I'm not saying that you'll never experience it again, but you don't want to feel negative feelings, we can stop and catch ourselves. Remember, I said Control Alt Delete,
right,
and put in a positive word as opposed to a negative, like I can't, or I won't, or whatever those negative thoughts are in our mind. We have the power to shift that and stop and shift and change that to positive words, positive affirmations.
But it doesn't happen automatically, is what you're saying.
No, it's a practice. It's a practice.
It's a practice. And even those that are good at it slip and use those words sometimes of, I can't, instead of saying I can't, I choose not to, right? There's a big power shift in that.
Right.
I can't is like a wall, and it's negative, and it doesn't feel good to me when I say that word. But when I choose not to, well, that means that I'm in control, that I've controlled that. So is this what you're talking about?
Yes, exactly. Yes. And like you and I have shared, we are all one, and we have all been conditioned this way, but we have the power within to change our mindset and just become more aware of our words. Our words hold power. And whether you speak them or write them or act on them, our words have power.
Even think them, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Because when we talk internally, because we all talk internally, right?
Yes, we do.
I want you to say that again. Words have power. Say that I mean, that is such an important.
Yes, words have power. Whether it's a thought, an action, or you're speaking it, you're feeling it, words have power. And on that note, that's why writing words down gives your words more power. So along the lines of releasing the old, you can write down whatever it was that did not serve you. And then I have done this before, like a ritual, especially at a full moon, where the full moon's about releasing. I have written down what did not serve me and or what it is that I am looking to release. And then I take that piece of paper and I light it on fire and I watch it burn and it's gone. Just like you can write those, just like you can write down the new words to manifest what it is that you are looking for in your life.
Right, right. Joy isn't a natural thing. Joy is what we choose to feel and find in other things. And I think that was my lesson, Tina, many years ago, several years ago, when I went through my situation. Was my aha moment was I had no joy in my heart. I was just going through the motions and I was feeling numb. And I know a lot of our listeners have been through that, might be going through that, you know, might be having friends or family members that they're seeing go through that. And this is something that I think we forget, that we have that power to change a lot just by the words, our thoughts, our beliefs. And this is what you're telling us.
Correct.
You mentioned something about being the new year. Everybody uses this word resolution, and you don't care for that word. Can you share with us why? What word should we be using?
I don't particularly care for that word because it does hold negative thoughts, meaning it's like you're setting yourself up for failure. And then when you hit that failure point, then you're riddled with guilt, shame, fear, all negative emotions. The word that I choose is intention. What is your intention? What do you want your life to look like? And what I learned very, very recently, because again, it's a practice and we are constantly growing as human beings, right? What I learned was I had like the ADD brain. Instead of laser focusing, I had the ADD brain saying, okay, my intention is to, you know, get a new job and blah, blah, blah. And then I would go, I'd write that down. And then I'd go, oh, no, wait, I should say I want a new job here. No, wait, I should say I want a new job doing this and doing this. So how is the universe going to give me, then that's what I'm going to get. I'm going to get this. As opposed to, and I just realized this within the past 6 months, I wrote down that I would have a job working at Mies Countryside because I'm in health and wellness. And I am so thrilled. The way I wrote it down was as if it already happened. And I stayed true to that story. So I told people, and it all started happening. I recently got hired at Baycare. And they said, oh, where are you going to be working within Baycare? And not knowing fully the way their process is, where I actually would be located, I said, I'm going to be working at my cardiologist office behind Mies Countryside. And I just stuck to it. I wasn't lying. I was manifesting that. And I never strayed from that story. And guess where I work today? At the cardiologist's office, 2 miles from my house, medical arts building right behind Mies Countryside Hospital. I stuck to that story, and our words have power. And that's exactly the story that I shared with every person that asked me that question. And that's where I am.
Well, there's a belief there. There's a faith there. You know, what's faith? Faith is believing in something that isn't necessarily there yet, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Belief. This is what we're taught. I mean, isn't this what Christianity is all about? It's about having faith in the unseen and the unknown. but believing that it to be good for us. And you manifested greatness of where you wanted to be down to clarity. Some people on this call, listening to us will resonate wholeheartedly with you, and others will go to the other side who are more of a devotional, faith-based kind of a situation. But it's interesting. The message is still the same. And I want everybody to understand that. One of the lessons I've learned in the last 6 months was exactly that in my prayer time. Be specific.
Yes, absolutely.
Be specific in your prayers. Be specific in your intentions.
Yes.
They're no different when you're clear and concise and specific. And I just had this conversation with one of our ladies, and she said to me, I always thought that, you're just supposed to just, ask God and let him figure it out. And I said, well, that's what we're taught. And then there was this whole lesson on being specific. No, God wants clarity. He wants you to have clarity. He wants to know what you really want.
Right.
What happens is the same thing. When you put it out to the universe, of, well, it could be this, it could be that, it could be this. You get this, that, and the other, and then you get frustrated because, well, why is it not getting answered? Why am I not getting where I want to go? Why are my prayers not being heard? Because we're not clear on what we want.
Right. And that's where writing that down also comes into play. So I want to kind of piggyback on what you were saying. So not only was I speaking those words, but in my devotional time, every single morning, I have a little altar, I light my candles. It's my meditation and prayer time. And what I did was I thanked God for this amazing opportunity at my cardiologist's office behind Meese Countryside Hospital. So I thanked God for blessing me with that. So it's twofold. I'm thanking God in the morning. That that's my time in the morning, although I speak to God all day long, but it's my devotional time in the morning. There's another very good tool that I'd like to share with everyone that one of my dear friends, Connie, had brought to my life, and it's called a God box. Okay. So it can be anything. Here's my God box. This was my grandmother's. It's a beautiful ceramic box, if you will. And see, it has the lid. See my prayers and my manifestations to God. So what you do is you write down very clearly what it is, and you put it in the God box and you give it to God and you let it go. So let it go, let God and let it go. And this little pink piece of paper right here says, I am so thrilled to be working at Meese Countryside. I love my job. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There it is. It was in my God box. So
I love it. The God box is so important. But, these are all positive, wonderful things where we're going.
yes.
But you and I shared earlier how we're not perfect, obviously. We have our moments. And you had a situation once where you'd started going down that rabbit hole of negativity and feeling sorry for yourself. And tell the story of what your dear friend said to you that kind of was like a smack in the face.
It was.
We all need to pay attention to. So say that.
So first of all, surround yourself with people that are truly your friends and care about your best interest and your well-being, the Trinity, well-being, right? Mind, body, spirit.
Right.
So this was years ago, and I was boo-hooing and crying in the same broken record story over a man, blah, blah, blah. And she listened, a couple times. And then finally one day she said to me, okay, are you done? Are you done with your pity party of one? And it was like a slap, a backhand right across my face. And at first, let me tell you, I was angry. I was mad. I couldn't believe she said that to me. We hung up the phone, not in anger, but the call ended. And I sat with that. And I thought, you know what? She's absolutely right, because that wasn't who I am. Why am I letting this negative experience control my life? Do I want that relationship? No, it wasn't a good relationship. So let it go and move on. And to this day, we'll talk on the phone, or, when we get to see each other, because she lives in New Jersey, we'll talk about old times, and I'll always bring that up. And she gets kind of embarrassed, and I go, please, you are one of my greatest teachers on this journey of life, and I will never forget that. And I hold the deepest gratitude for you bringing that to light. And now I share that with people, because sometimes people need to hear that. You need to hear the truth, and the truth sometimes hurts.
I heard a couple things in that. Number one, well, the first thing, and you voiced this, a true friend will always tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And sometimes the second thing is the truth hurts.
Correct.
You actually, and you first reaction, so there's a reaction and there's a response. And your reaction was mad.
Yeah.
You say that. And I love it. The pity party of one. Are you finished with the pity party of one? Think about that. How many of us in this that are listening are going through or have gone through the pity party of one? So I love that. So those are the first two things. The second thing that I like, though, is that you sat in it for a moment.
Yes.
You didn't keep ruminating the anger, which some of us would continue down that part to the point where they would actually harm that relationship that was precious.
Right, exactly.
Truth, that was, love, because that was only said in love. That was not said to hurt you. It was said to wake you up.
Yes.
And that you were so true to yourself that you took a moment and really thought about it and had the aha that you had the power to change that.
Yes.
You didn't.
Absolutely.
In that moment. You didn't have to continue down that path. You could change that. But as you said, this was an ongoing saga for how long? This is what we're talking about, right? We're talking about not dragging those sagas on forever and ever and ever, because we have the power.
Yes.
And sometimes it has to come from a dear friend, a tribe, as you said, build your tribe.
Yeah, absolutely.
That are truly coming from love and kindness, heart level. I just wanted to make sure people heard that there were so many lessons there, but the biggest lesson is that you were willing to have a lesson.
Yes.
You were willing to see, go within. I always use the term, what's my DNA on this situation?
That's cute.
In other words, what did I do or not do to contribute to this situation? And that can be for anything. I use it for when I have a disgruntled employee, to, my health situation, like, how do I feel today, to an emotional situation that's maybe a negative thing that's happened in my life. What's my DNA on it? And that's what you did.
Right. And that's like that makes me think of Ho'oponopono. We all have what's our responsibility in this, right?
But it's truth. It's, we have to own something. Things are brought into our lives for a reason.
Correct.
And, how we react or respond to them makes the difference. And you're talking all about response, not reaction. You're talking about going within and using it as a lesson, as a learning tool, letting things go.
Yes. And to that note, I originally thought that I was going to be working at Empath Health, and I was so dead set on it. And God or the universe, however anyone wants to frame that or phrase that or feel that, if it's not meant to be, it's something better. So we just have to sit in faith and have that faith, because I swore that's where I was going to be working. I never got a response. Even though I was a volunteer at Empath Health, I never got a response for a full-time job. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. And then I thought, you know what? Instead of getting angry at the situation, it's just not meant to be. Let it go, move on. God's telling me this isn't where you belong. And so fast forward, I got exactly what I want. I'm working at a nonprofit organization within health and wellness, where I can use my gifts that God has given me, the gift of deeply connecting with others, the gift of compassion, the gift of caring for others. And I'm 2 miles from my house. I would have been traveling further, probably not happy. And I looked at other jobs in similar situations, and there was one particular individual that I'd have to report to, and I just didn't feel it with that person. There's a reason for it. We just have to keep the faith and know that God loves us. God has our back. The universe has our back. If it's not this, it's something better. That's it.
Just keep moving forward, right?
Yes.
Keep moving forward. You had a great quote that you shared with me. That's one
Yes. I love this quote. Don't look back. You're not going that way.
I just
I
got.
love that quote. Just like you were saying, what is it? The windshield is so big. Why is your rear view mirror so small?
Yeah,
I love
why
it.
is my windshield so big and my rear view mirror
Yeah,
so small? Because
yeah.
I'm going that way, not that way.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's just to make sure that it's still back there.
Mhm.
I'm going in the
Exactly.
right
Yeah.
direction. It's I think that it's interesting because as we start a new year, like you said, reflection, intentions, all these things, some people feel refreshed, some people feel overwhelmed.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because in my world, which is in the sales world, and you used to be in the sales world,
Yes. Yeah.
a lot of people at the end of the year who've had a great year feel an elation of what they accomplished, but then almost deflation and a little bit of a fear of, can I do it again?
Yeah. It's starting all over.
There's always that, oh my gosh, I got to do it again.
Yes.
Again. And when you live and work on commissions,
Yeah.
that's a big thing for a lot of people versus helping them to set that intention that the end of the year isn't the end of the year. And one of the things that we've tried to work with our agents, our associates in my business is to not look at it as January to December.
Mhm.
And so many times we shut down. Oh, the holidays, we shut down. No. We've got to continue to, be intentional about our days and purposeful. That doesn't mean we can't have holiday cheer and family and do all the fun things and all of that. But when we forget about our next year because we're at the end of this year, because we're tired, we're beat up, or whatever, the beginning of the next year is even more brutal than the end of last year.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
We're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of fear. So what I'm hearing you say is our intentions are a daily thing. You ran into a roadblock with the empath health thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, while it was disappointing,
Yes.
we're not going to say it wasn't.
Yes.
You were able to take a step back, take a breath, and say, you know what? Maybe this isn't the direction God wants to go. Because if it was, he would have brought it to you later. It would have manifested later.
Exactly.
Maybe it's not the right time. Sometimes it's not the right time.
Exactly. But because of the way that we are conditioning ourselves now with our practice, I was able to, again, take a step back, reflect, not stay in that emotional space and let it go and say, okay, there's a reason why this isn't happening. And it's okay. It's okay because if it's not this, it's going to be something better for me. And letting it go and having faith.
But, I love the pity party of one. I'm going to go back to that. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a situation that happened. This was many, 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 many years ago with with my dear sister, who, God rest her soul, but my dear sister, she was really struggling in her job in the sense that she wasn't real happy in her job, or there were things that were bothering her. There was parts of her job she loved, but the things that were bothering her were overwhelming the things that she loved.
Right.
And so, but she kept ruminating on all of the negative things, that because they were becoming, and remember, what we focus on expands, right?
Exactly. Yes.
What we focus on expands. And so she was focusing on the bad versus focusing on the good. Till finally, it was almost like that pity party of one. I said to her, I said, you know what? Stop. You have two choices. I said, one, find all the things that you love about your job and be grateful for them and stay there and do it and be happy, or go find another job.
Right.
Because
Right.
stop talking about how miserable you are, because this is not good for you.
Right. Exactly.
She looked at, she just was like, wow. She started changing her language. She started thinking about all the things that she loved about her job, the people, the experiences, the things, the help that she was doing. And that starts to overshadow the negative. Nothing is perfect. I mean, even this perfect job that you're going to go to, you're going to have days that you're going to look and go, wow, that was an interesting day.
Yes, yes. But but so talking about your sister and, the negative words, also, again, kind of going back to when we said before about cultivating our own tribe.
Right.
If your an environment at work is toxic and there are people that are just gossiping and talking about how they hate their job and how this place is awful and negative, again, you have two choices. Either look for all of the good things and move yourself to that higher vibration of individuals that you choose to stay with, and release the ones that are constantly negative, because they will pull you down. I call them spiritual vampires, and they're going to keep gravitating to you because you're positive and they want to pull you down. No, we have a choice. We can bless them and walk away and choose to stay with the people that are uplifting and positive.
Call them energy suckers.
Yeah, exactly. Or, you know what? Maybe it is time to move on. We have choice was a very powerful word that you said, Nikki. Choice. We have the choice.
Right. Yeah. Energy suckers do not work well for me. I mean, I can, and when you start recognizing energy, when you, and I always knew that I was a high energy, high vibrational person, that I could feel them like you said, they were vampires. Like I could feel like it remind me of the sucker fish. That's why I call them suckers, because, like those little fish that get attached, or leeches, and they just, I could, if I was in a room, and I'll use an example of interviewing people. If I was in a room with somebody I could feel that negative energy suck within 10 minutes, I would have to end the interview.
Yes, I agree. I'm the same way. It makes me physically feel ill.
It would feel it instantly, versus the person that's also a high vibrational person.
Yes.
Or who elevates to your vibration because yes, they're attracted to it. And so they elevate to you.
Right.
That's the other piece that I wanted to say. You said you can elevate yourself, but many times when you do that, you elevate others with you.
Yes.
Because they don't know how to elevate. And when you can be the change.
Yes. Love it. That's my favorite quote. I choose to be the change I wish to see in the world. Yeah.
You can be the change. So as you elevate yourself, Priscilla, our dear friend Priscilla, uses the term, the pebble in the pond. You throw the pebble in the pond and the ripples.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you create the ripples by elevating yourself. There will be others that will follow you, and you'll see change in their lives as well.
Yeah.
And I love that, because, and you have to, doesn't mean to be mean or angry. Like you said, you bless those that want to stay where they are. And there's a lot of our world that wants to stay in their personal pity party of one.
Yes.
And, but sometimes they just don't know how to get out.
I know, exactly. And, it's because of the way we've been conditioned. But again, it comes back to the word choice. Choice. We have choices in our lives, and our words are powerful.
Our words are more than powerful. I tell you, my last podcast, those of you that listed, I used the 4 words: fear, faith, gratitude, kindness. Kindness is also love. But, those words can be strong, powerful motivators or powerful deflators. And we have to make a decision what we want, choosing our words wisely. And I'll catch myself using words that I'll, or, thinking thoughts in my head. And it was somebody said, I read this thing and it said, you don't even have to say it because God already knows what you're thinking. And I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe I need to ask for forgiveness
Yeah.
because he caught me thinking, like, yeah, think about it, right? So that's that really makes you start paying attention.
Yeah.
What are my thoughts that are going through my brain? But I
Yeah,
love
being aware. Yeah. And remember, we can reset those thoughts. We're not perfect. We can say, no, cancel that. This is my thought.
right.
Mhm.
And one of the most powerful things Priscilla has ever taught myself and our ladies is that, when we say things about ourselves, when you do something silly, like we've all done things that we go, I can't believe I just did that, like you forget something or just something happens that's not what you planned. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Drop something and it breaks and it shatters and whatever. And many times we'll curse ourselves or we'll say, we'll call ourselves a bad name, or deflate ourselves. And she taught me this amazing word. She said that word is amazing. I am amazing. I am amazing, and I just love that because no matter what you've done, I am amazing. I'm so amazing. Look what I've done. And just turn it into a joyful, funny experience versus angry, hurtful, and I find myself reacting differently to things,
Don't you find when you say that I'm amazing after you've just broken a glass on the floor that you start laughing?
Yeah, that's the whole point of it, right?
Like, oh my God, I'm so amazing. I just did that.
Look what I just did. I'm amazing.
Yeah.
And it's, one of the jokes in our house, I live in a 3-story house. And my husband and I, we talk about how we have some really strong legs because we forget things a lot.
Oh, yes.
And so I would say, boy, am I amazing, but my legs are strong.
Yeah.
And then we laugh about it. So, and it becomes a joke, oh, I got to go back up the stairs. Oh, I got to go back up the stairs. Oh,
good exercise. Yeah.
Turn it into, this is our cardio,
Yeah.
And we just find that the more we have on our plate, we sometimes can do that to ourselves. We can sometimes beat ourselves up, tear ourselves apart, and there's no need to do that.
Exactly.
But with your words of wisdom, what would you like to say to our listeners today? In closing, suggestions, whatever, what would you like to say to them?
Let me just look at my notes really quickly. So again, going back to, it's a conscious choice, right? That's where we started when I first met you on our first podcast. And then again, setting the intentions rather than resolutions. And our words, our thoughts, our actions hold power. Let us be aware of our words, our thoughts, our actions. And when you write down your words, whether it is in a journal, whether it is on a piece of paper and putting it in your God box, or a piece of paper to burn a past experience or relationship that did not serve you and letting it go, our words, thoughts, and actions hold power. So just sit in a moment of silence, set some time, usually twice a month. The moon cycles are a perfect time to be aware. New moons are setting new intentions. Full moons are typically used for releasing what no longer serves us, something that you no longer want to give power to. Let it go. Then when you let it go, you have room for the new. And there's your growth cycle.
It's all energy. Everything is energy.
Everything is energy. Even when you write it down and you think about it, when you're burning something, you can feel the heat. That's energy. You're letting it go. When I sage my house or sage myself, if I'm saging myself and I'm doing this, I can physically feel that energy. You can feel that vibration. Everything is vibrational. And it's our responsibility to keep ourselves at the highest vibration. And the highest vibration is love.
Absolutely. And I love how you talk about writing it down. And I'm just going to make this point. I did a little bit of research on this, and everybody's got computers now, tablets, whatever, and they're tapping away. But it's been proven that there's a connection to our brain when we write it actually, our body physically reacts to it.
Absolutely.
Right, versus when we type.
Right.
So make it a point to, if you're using your laptop or whatever, and that's what you write everything down on, I get it, but try pulling out a good old fashioned pen and a piece of paper.
Right.
And this is what I'm hearing you say.
Yes.
Got your journal there that you write in. I write in a journal every day. Same thing. And I use a pen, just a good old fashioned pen. And it's interesting. I go back in my journal and I see days where my handwriting is beautiful and days where my handwriting is not. And I think about what's that, so it's an interesting thing, and then sometimes I'll start out really bad and then my handwriting's really good. So it's like I shifted my energy. I know that sounds a little crazy, but
No,
I think
I
it's
don't think
an
so.
important point that you're talking about writing everything down.
Yes, and plus, so there have been times where I don't have my journal with me. I'm at work or what have you, and a thought pops into my head. So I'll speak it into my phone in my notes, but then I will write it down, because your journal, and this is the one that you gave me, which I love, grateful. It's like a roadmap. You can go back and look at it. Like I've done that in my God box even. I've gone back and I've emptied it out, 6 months down the road, and opened it up and like, wow. Yes. Or, you know what? This didn't happen. There's a reason why, and I'm going to let it go because something greater is going to happen. You know what? And you can put it back in the God box and see if it does, a year later or what have you, or there's a reason why it didn't happen, but you don't get caught up in it anymore, but it's really true. You can go back and look at this as like a roadmap and to see, where you were and how far you've come.
Well, I love talking with you, Tina. I think that
Thank you. I love it too, Nikki. Thank you for always inviting me.
Great wisdom. So remember, it's about releasing the old, manifesting the new. We do have a choice. We can make a difference, and everything starts with us.
Yes. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. Remember, we are women empowered. Until next time, have a beautiful day.
Thank you for listening to another episode of We Are Women Empowered. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. For additional resources and podcast information, please visit us at wearewomenempowered.com.